2 years of training, hundreds of sessions. Every Monday, you show up. You've watched the videos, followed the programs, bought the equipment, and you look almost exactly the same as you did 24 months ago. Not because you're lazy, not because your genetics are bad, because you've been confusing activity with training. These are not the same thing. Activity is showing up and doing work. Training is applying a specific stress that forces a specific adaptation, recovering from it completely, and then applying a greater stress. Activity feels productive. Training produces results. Most people who have been going to the gym for 2 years have 2 years of activity behind them, not 2 years of training. The distinction sounds subtle. The outcome is not. The first mechanism that explains this is the principle of progressive overload, and specifically the failure to apply it with any precision. Your body adapts to a stimulus and then stops adapting to it. This is not a motivational concept. It is hardwired biology. The mTOR signaling pathway, the molecular switch that triggers muscle protein synthesis, requires mechanical tension above a threshold your body has already adapted to in order to activate meaningfully. If you're doing the same pull-up sets you were doing 8 months ago at the same difficulty, your mTOR activation is minimal. The signal says, we have exactly the capacity we need. Build nothing new. The second mechanism is proximity to failure. Research on motor unit recruitment shows that your largest, most growth-responsive fast-twitch muscle fibers, the ones responsible for the majority of visible muscle mass, are only recruited when you approach muscular failure. Doing 3 sets that feel manageable is not the same as doing 3 sets where the last 2 reps of the final set required genuine maximum effort. The fibers that grow most are the last ones your nervous system calls on. If you never get close enough to need them, they are never recruited, never stressed, and never adapt. The third mechanism is specificity. Your body adapts precisely to the demands you place on it, nothing more, nothing broader. If you want to get better at pull-ups, the majority of your upper body training needs to be pull-up pattern, loading across different variations, angles, and difficulty levels. Doing rows, lat pull-downs, and occasional pull-ups gives you a general back training effect. It does not systematically build the specific neuromuscular pattern, tendon strength, and motor unit coordination required to progress your pull-up. Your body is not building general fitness. It is building exactly what you repeatedly and specifically demand of it. The fourth mechanism, and the most invisible, is recovery debt. If you are not sleeping 7 to 9 hours, if your nutrition is inconsistent, if your stress baseline is chronically elevated, your body is running a repair deficit. Every session adds to the damage account. Recovery pays it off. When recovery is insufficient, the account accrues debt. Training in a state of accumulated recovery, debt, does not produce adaptation. It produces fatigue on top of fatigue. You feel like you're working hard because the effort feels enormous. But the effort feels enormous because you're already compromised, not because you're creating a productive training stimulus. 2 years of training in a recovery deficit produces less adaptation than 6 months of training with complete recovery between sessions. This is not an exaggeration. It is what the research on supercompensation shows consistently. The adaptation happens during recovery, not during the session. Kill the recovery, and you kill the result. Here is what separates the 2-year beginner from the 2-year intermediate. The intermediate has been applying progressive overload with precision, adding difficulty systematically, not randomly. They have been training close enough to failure that their fast-twitch fibers are consistently recruited and stressed. They have been specific in their exercise selection relative to their goals, and they have been protecting their recovery with the same discipline they bring to their training sessions. None of this requires more time in the gym. It requires a fundamentally different relationship to what training actually is. Not more sets, not more exercises, not more motivation. A clearer understanding of the biological mechanisms that produce change, and a ruthless commitment to applying them correctly. You have not wasted 2 years. Everything you have done has built work capacity, movement quality, and baseline fitness. But if you want the body and performance that 2 years of real training produces, the next 6 months need to look different from the last 24. Pick one movement pattern. Apply progressive overload to it with precision every single session. Train it close to failure. Recover completely between sessions. Repeat until it stops being hard, and then make it harder again. That is training. Everything else is just showing up.